Councilor Adam Khosroabadi knows what it means to serve. As a combat veteran, he served overseas in Iraq and continues to serve his community as a football coach, notary public, and small business owner. Councilor Khosroabadi was appointed to council in 2021 and is chair of the Clackamas County Veterans Advisory Council. He previously served as a planning commissioner and on the Public Safety Advisory Committee as a Linwood NDA rep. Now I want to tell you a story about Adam. It was May 24th during one of our planning commission meetings. We were on a 10-minute break. So Adam, myself, and another planning commissioner, we all went outside to catch some fresh air. In the doorway at the City Hall entrance was a person sleeping, blocking one of the doors. We've all been in that situation. The other commissioner and I had an annoyed look on our face because the entrance was blocked. We all went outside, enjoyed the non-rainy weather, went to return inside the building. The person sleeping woke up, started to rant about being hit by a truck, and started to show his scars. The other commissioner and I quickly booked into the building. But Adam stopped, knelt down to the person, and asked him if he was okay. He wanted to make sure that that person, if he needed help, he could give it to him. Adam did this without hesitation or thought and wanted to make sure the person was supported, recognized, and being cared for. Now, Adam and I may not share the same views on how to accomplish the concerns we face in Milwaukee today, or even see eye to eye on what major concerns are, but his character, when no one is watching, certainly proves not only does he mean what he says and stands for, but is willing to do the work and carries the compassion to get it done. Please welcome Councilor Khosroabadi.
Hello, thank you everyone, and thank you Greg for that tremendous introduction. I'm a little bashful. That story actually, thank you for everybody who's here, and thank you for everyone who sponsored this event and who continues to sponsor the event. The history that you bring is one of the reasons what we're talking about, why we're here and we're talking today, right, is to not forget about the past regardless of what it looks like, and diversity and what that brings. And the story he talks about, I think, speaks to that, because if the better we understand what people have been through or have experienced those experiences ourselves, the better off we'll be not only as a community, but as counselors to make better decisions and better policies that not only deal with equality, but also, most importantly, equity. And I think that's what really comes down to these stories, right, about these diverse people. Me, I'm Iranian, Italian. My father and my Iranian family immigrated here during the Iranian Revolution. I am Muslim. I am married to a proud Peruvian woman who's Latina. We just had our firstborn child, who is a biracial child. And this is part of the reason why I do what I do, and part of the reason why telling these stories are so important. To know the struggles and hear the struggles and the tribulations and the perseverance of different groups of people, again, not only interweaves in our community fabric, but also makes us grow as human beings to be better individuals. And that's something that I think we need to do more of, right? Especially these last few years. What better way to do that than to get to know your neighbor and get to know where they come from and the history about the people that live in our very own city. You know, Milwaukee is unique because we have such a broad group of individuals here that bring something different to the table. And one thing about diversity that you can't argue about is no matter who it is that you talk to, anytime you talk to somebody with a diverse background or a diverse history or a diverse story to tell, you will always walk away learning something. You'll always walk away learning something that you didn't learn before, no matter the circumstances. And that's something very important as well, especially in a time where a lot of our education is coming from social media. Unfortunately, nobody's talking to each other anymore. And again, that brings in the diverse part. We as elected officials, it's important for us, again, for the decision-making process. We've been victims too often on policies that have only catered to one side or the other, correct? I mean, we can all agree with that. The lack of talking to each other, communicating, and understanding where we all come from and what barriers we have faced in our lives is what creates those inequities. So that's why these stories are so important. That's why the History Museum is so important, because if you don't know anybody who comes from a diverse background, that's hard to believe nowadays, right? Everybody's from somewhere. Then that's what the museum is here for. That's what individuals like Greg who dedicate their time are here for, is to make sure that that stuff is not forgotten about, that we learn from the past so that we create a better future for everyone. Just like with the tribes of the Grand Ronde, listening and hearing from this group of people who have suffered tremendously and continue to suffer. And Native Americans have continuously suffered throughout the history of our country, and it's every day new history is made for them in suffering. And being able to be elected officials and hearing these stories, again, results in better equity, better equality, better resources for these individuals to feel like they're on par and on the same page and are afforded at least the same opportunity that everyone else in this room is. So thank you so much. I really appreciate what you do for the city, what you do for the museum, and you all being here. Diversity and these stories are important. I don't know how much time I was given, about roughly 5 minutes. I don't want to take too much time because I would love to hear from the tribes of the Grand Ronde, because I myself would like to hear more about, aside from just the land acknowledgements, what other things can we do as elected officials to make sure that you feel like you guys are being heard, that you all have a voice at the table and a seat at the table. And hearing their stories of diversity, is one step towards that goal. So thank you again for being here, and this shows that you all are interested and on the same page when it comes to that diversity, and hopefully this continues and there's more questions to be asked and more people who want to learn. I appreciate it, and again, I look forward to your discussion. Thank you all, and thank you, Greg, for having me.